this Village of Greenhills Council meeting for March 22nd to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Halter?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Ms. Osmanoglu?
Here.
Ms. Hermes?
Here.
Ms. Metz?
Here.
Ms. Walther? Here.
Here.
Mayor Moore?
Okay, we have a prayer by Marie Walther.
Lord, we ask you to send your spirit of servanthood upon all of us gathered here this evening to do your work for the benefit of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliberate with wisdom and act with courage. Bless the members of our community who comes here to speak before council so they state their cause with honesty and humility. Lord, we ask you to bless us all and that everything we do here tonight will move you to welcome us one day into your kingdom as good and faithful servants. We ask this in the name of our brother Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the minutes of the council meeting of February 22nd, 2022, and the council retreat of March 5th, 2022. If there are no corrections or changes, minutes stand approved. Okay, hearing none, minutes approved. We have at this time a public presentation that the chief is going to make.
Thank you. Officer Francis, would you please come forward? We will stand over here so we don't have our backs to anyone once you remember where you're at. We have a presentation, I'll read from it momentarily, but I want to give you a behind-the-scenes glimpse of what happens in our line of work. It's a little different than other lines of work. Officer Francis, who is a relatively new officer, I told him tonight we've decided to keep him. He's completed his probationary period. Back on February 18th at 12:16 in the morning, and I use his words to tell you what he encountered. He said he was dispatched to a male non-breather report in our D section. Upon arrival, I started to perform CPR before EMS arrived, and they eventually took over compressions. Patient started breathing. The patient stated that he had snorted heroin and it was in the downstairs bathroom. Another officer and I searched the bathroom, recovered a small baggie. Patient was then transported to Mercy Hospital. What often isn't on the lines of these police reports is what happens in between the scenes. And I'm going to read to you the dispatch comments that the dispatcher was receiving radio traffic. And I think it shows you the true heroism of what our officers and our firefighters do on a regular basis. It was a multi-agency dispatch. Another officer went as soon as he heard the call. He said that the patient was a known drug user. Heroin is a drug of choice. And Officer Francis had told dispatch that 4 milligrams of Narcan were administered. And then this one, when you hear this on police radio, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It says, "Hey, George 31, have the squad step it up." And what that means is that you believe you're on the verge of losing the battle. So reinforcements arrived, but actually before that happened, our paramedics, the Forest Park paramedics were there that said that Officer Francis solely was responsible for preserving this man's life. And as a result, Officer Francis, you have been awarded the Preservation of Life Award, which is awarded to you on this date for taking action that directly resulted in the saving of another person's life on February 18, 2022. In acting in accordance with the highest ideals of professional service, your actions reflected outstanding police work, displaying initiative, capability, and attention to duty that earned the respect and admiration of your colleagues and the citizens of our community. It's awarded this 22nd day of March in the year of our Lord 2022 by David B. Moore, the Mayor of Greenhills, Von Kovac, our municipal manager, and by my office. Jarod, congratulations. Thank you.
I don't really feel, I mean, I truly appreciate it. It's a great honor to give an award like this, but I feel that if any of my coworkers or anybody was in my position, they would have done the same thing. I mean, it's not much to get there and decide to save somebody. I don't know, I'm stumbling over this now. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Doesn't mean you have to come back.
No, I'm happy now.
Thank
Once
you.
one person gets it, everybody's got to get it.
Congratulations.
Stand right here. That would get a photo. Congratulations.
Thank you again. Okay. All right, moving on, we've got a presentation also from Jennifer Weicker from the library. Give us some great updates.
Thank you so much for letting me come tonight. That's a tough act to follow, and wow, that's quite heavy. But I did want to say, it is so nice to be back again. It has been a long time since I've had the privilege of coming and giving you an update from the library, but we are approaching normal, and we wanted to catch everybody up on all of the wonderful things that we've been doing. Number one, we have extended hours now. Maybe you all aren't aware of this, but we have all of the hours except for the very large branches, our regional ones. So we are 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays. So if you want to go to the library, you've still got almost 50 odd minutes to get there. And then that's Mondays and Tuesdays, and then we're open from 10 until 6 on Wednesday through Saturday, which are extended hours from what we used to have before we had to make some small changes. We also are offering an after-school meal, and that's from 4:15 until 5 o'clock daily. We have recently switched that just a couple of weeks ago. We had been doing the meal boxes once a week from 3 to 5, but we thought this, since we're seeing more people rejoining us, we wanted to be certain that we're meeting the needs of our kids. So anybody 18 or younger is welcome to come to the library from 4:15 until 5 o'clock. We have different meals every day, and you know, there was pickles and jerky yesterday, and some graham crackers and tuna salad today, all kinds of wonderful things. Our partners with UMC Foods help us provide that for our community, and we want to tell everyone. We are also having all kinds of new in-person programs, story times inside. We don't have a gazebo anymore. It's for all ages. We have 3 book clubs. We have Earth Day art program for kids coming up. We have an author visit from Brittany Eaton, who will be there on Saturday, April 16th at 2 p.m. All of our programs are available online, where you are welcome to give the library a call. We'll be happy to tell you all about it. Or best of all, come in. We'll be happy to catch you up on all of the things that you might be interested in. We are also offering free printing up to 20 pages a day per person. That's just something that we realized was very popular during all of the pandemic, and we wanted to be able to continue that. So that is a new service that we've been providing for a little while now. Anybody who used to hate those 20 cents a day fines, those aren't a thing anymore. If you don't bring it back long enough, we'll stop your card until you bring it back. That's after 12 days, and after a month, if you know. We would like our stuff back, but we're not going to 20 cents here or there. So if you bring it back, it just comes off your card completely, and everything just goes back to absolute normal. So we wanted to let everyone know about that too. If you need tax forms, we have a small amount of printed already, and we are happy to print on demand for people anything that you need in the way of forms, tax booklets. We're happy to help you find that information and print out the relevant pages for you and everything. And that's in addition to the 20 pages. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Then we also do have an opening. So if you know of somebody who you think would be awesome to work at the library, I have a 20-hour-a-week position that is, you can find all of that information for all of the library's jobs on our website, cincinnatilibrary.org. But I did want to get in a little bit of a plug for anybody who thinks, oh, that might be kind of cool to kind of get in on the ground floor, if you will. And thank you so much for letting me have the time to catch you up a little bit. I hope to be seeing you a great deal more regularly, and we're looking forward to being part of all of the community events coming up in the nice warm weather that hopefully is just around the corner, although you won't know it today. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, moving on, we have no public hearings tonight. Reports of municipal officials, Municipal Manager Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start with the legislative report to review the items that are on the agenda tonight. Our first ordinance of the year, and this ordinance is to vacate DeWitt Court. We've been working up there with our home builder, looking at different scenarios for various issues that have come up, and this, I think, came to the attention of the attorneys when they were working with the county for what's the best way to resolve some of these. If you recall, we had previous legislation, right? There's so many things different and kind of mixed up with the county records as they pertain to some of our properties. DeWitt Court is one of them. So in the end, it seems that the cleanest way to do this is to vacate DeWitt Court, which is the subject of your legislation in front of you tonight. We obviously feel there's a good cause to be doing this. There's absolutely no detriment to the public interest. It will remain a court. So
And
that's our purpose for doing it.
will still be known as DeWitt
It will
Court.
still be known as DeWitt Court,
Okay.
yes. This is also our first emergency clause that we've added in probably a few years. It's, if you remember what those were. We certainly feel that this warrants that action so we can keep this moving, get this property cleaned up so development can get started up there soon. So let me know if you have any questions on that one. The second item is the ordinance that would, actually, also another ordinance. It's funny how there's three of them in one night. Anyway, this one would add a new a new section in one of our existing chapters regarding small cell facilities in the village. We had reviewed the design guidelines a couple of times. And in those, we had previously talked about adding like height of the pole, color of the pole, and distance. That has been addressed in the version in front of you. But what I do want to be sure everybody understands is this ordinance is not banning 5G. So it's just to the extent that we're able to. This applies to public property only, not to private property. The next ordinance actually ratifies the appointment of our new clerk of council, Teresa Lally. Welcome tonight. That's great. Anyway, this is required per our charter to do it this way, so that is why that's on your agenda tonight. We have a resolution for a supplemental appropriation. That appropriation is basically, the monies have been appropriated. Now we are actually authorizing the transfer of that money into the accounts that require the money as previously designated. And the last resolution, number 6, is, if you recall, we did like a rather generic participation in opioid settlement agreements that might be reached by the state. And so we might have had one of, these are coming so quickly. We may have already had one specific one, and now this is a second specific one with Johnson & Johnson. So this will allow us to, I don't think we know the dollar amount on this one yet.
We do not.
But when it comes, we'll get it. So that's the purpose of that legislation. We feel all these things are just things that we shouldn't pass up. And actually, when they did set aside a rather large dollar amount, if I remember right, that would come to communities such as ours. So we're hoping that, maybe it'll be a few thousand or more. So we'll wait to hear on that. Okay, that does it for the legislation. I wanted to mention some other issues, things that are going on that you need to know about. With the economy the way it is, we are starting to get word of feeling a pinch, and one is coming for the swimming pool. through Swim Safe, they have been trying for years now. They've absorbed additional costs, and they have not increased our contracts. But at this point in time, things have gotten so high. Chemicals went up 46.6%. And just so you know, they did provide all this to me, documentation. I'm giving you a summary. But perhaps one of the toughest nuts to crack for them is the salary issue with staffing. We have a local competitor as in the Y that's paying a rather hefty amount to their lifeguards. So they do feel an adjustment is necessary. We've started to, the total cost, additional cost that it could be to us if we maintained operations as we have it right now, they're estimating to be $31,320. So that's not that bad when you think about it, but it's still sizable. We are looking we have options. We can try to come up with the money. We can try to reduce things. They've already started looking at if we closed at 7 instead of 8, what would that do? If we didn't have concessions, what would that save? Things like that. So we're looking at different options right now. And I think we can probably wait and talk more about this at the work session, but I wanted to make you aware that was going on so you could be thinking about it. Sadly, that's not the only one. We also just late this afternoon got word from Grounds Pro. They too have been, gas has been kind of up and down for a while, but it's really, really going up now. And they are indicating that they will be adding a 5% surcharge to our invoiced amount. And we're estimating that to be somewhere probably between $150 to $200 per cut. So we too on that will probably look at, are there some areas that can maybe get cut not as often or, whatever. We want to keep everything looking nice, but it is going to be an additional cost for us that I wanted to make you aware of. On a lighter note, leaf collection starts on April 4th and runs through that entire week. That's the one where they make just one pass through the village. I know some people already have their leaves out at the curb, so they're ready. Tree City USA, I think you should have gotten a pack. Did you guys get a flyer in your packet on that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's coming up. It's local, Springdale this year, so you won't have to go far. April 22nd, and I think they're allowing up to 4 people to attend, so let me know if you are interested in attending the luncheon. Another item that I passed out for you is a lot of communities are starting to pass legislation, a resolution in support of Ukraine. I don't know how you feel about that, but I thought this one, Deb was kind enough to bring in her paper talking about the one in Hamilton, but I know throughout our county as well, a lot of communities are doing similar things, so you can read through that and see if you are interested in having us put together anything similar to that. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yes. All right. We'll do it. And let's see. Oh, okay. I know one. Here's a little one I can tell you about. It's all good news. The CARES Act. We're going to get some more money from the CARES Act. Hold on, folks. It's $745. We allocated money, but it'll buy something.
Yeah, but we have to go through $800 worth of paperwork to get it.
Yeah, which is just absolutely amazing. I mean, these things, Deb is doing, virtual meeting after virtual meeting on these things. People are hiring staff to handle these grants. They are making this extremely complex, but she's on it. So yeah, that's $745. Well and good.
Absolutely.
And let's see, I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
I have a question. Have we heard anything from Rumpke, whether they're going to do a fuel surcharge?
I think we already have, haven't we? But they do usually do some kind of surcharge.
They
I don't know
do.
if it's increased.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check to see what the increase is.
It'll just be larger now. I don't think we've received a formal letter.
Great, I don't either.
Pretty sure we have not, but they will.
I know when the fuel costs went up 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was,
Right?
it costs a lot more to run those garbage trucks,
Yes.
fortunately. Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
All right. Any
Thank you.
questions, manager?
Sorry, I'm going to ask again.
Yes,
The
yes.
little library, has it been fixed?
I was told it was fixed.
Okay.
Yes. Cool.
Okay.
Ms. Kovac?
Yes.
Regarding the cutting, the grass, the grounds, et cetera, just want to reiterate the fact that we have had some that are not as good. These ones are excellent. I really go and peruse every place where they had cut. There's not left debris behind or anything like that. Before, I used to go with a broom to make sure that it was okay, ready for Memorial Day, because they had all the clippings left for the veterans to march through. So whatever it needs to, we can work it out, I'm sure of it. They're more than easy to help out. We had the day of the Veterans Day, and I was able to communicate with them and told them what was going to be happening there, and it would please if they will refrain from doing that. And he grouped the people and says, let's have lunch while they're doing that. So it was not a problem at all.
Good.
So they're very easy to work with, and if you need an intermediary for it, no charge.
Okay, and you reminded me, I do want to let you know that they indicated it, if and when the price should go down below $3.59 a gallon, it'll go away. But that's what they've been basing everything on.
That's awesome.
So can we use the $750 from CARES for 5 of the bills?
Ask the expert.
Okay, moving on, Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things tonight. One, I just wanted to comment very quickly on some of the legislation that's on tonight, only to this extent. We have 3 ordinances tonight, which is unusual. Most of the action you take is by resolution. So since we have 3 ordinances, one of which is proposed as an emergency, I just wanted to give you a little reminder. The difference procedurally with ordinances is that if council chooses, by motion, you can do a motion to read by title only with ordinances. You cannot do that with resolutions. That's why we read the whole things. And then just as a reminder, like the manager mentioned, I don't remember the last emergency ordinance that we've done. It's been some time. So again, just as a reminder, with respect to a proposed emergency ordinance, you can still do it by title only if you choose. And it's also appropriate to consider a motion to suspend the rule requiring that it be read on two meetings on, 2 separate meetings on 2 different dates. And that way you can adopt it after just a single reading. So that's just a procedural thing I thought I would remind people, since we haven't had this many ordinances on the agenda for quite some time. The only other thing I was going to mention is some activity at the state level. It doesn't have any, as far as I'm aware, any direct impact on Greenhills, but it is of municipal interest. House Bill 563 has been introduced and referred to a committee, and it's what's being called essentially short-term rental preemption statute. Short-term rentals, or how they're referring to things like Airbnb and VRBO. A lot of municipalities that see that kind of activity have decided to take some type of regulatory action. Some places don't permit them at all. Some places permit them, but with certain fees and licensing requirements. House Bill 563 would essentially take away the local right to regulate short-term rentals and leave that with the state. I just mention it again. I don't know that short-term rentals are an issue here, but it's just another example of the state adopting something that seems to interfere with local control over your own zoning code, and it applies equally to counties, municipalities, and townships. And that would conclude my report.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Forbes, The last time we had an emergency procedure here with the council was exactly 8 years ago. It was my second year of laws and rules.
Okay. That's good planning on the part of your management.
All right, moving on, Clerk of Council, Teresa Lally. Lolly,
Yes.
anything to report?
No.
Good report, good report.
Okay, Chief of Police, Neil Furlman.
I'm afraid I'll try and be brief, but not that brief. Following direction from our council, some exciting technology news. You can find us on Facebook. We're all very excited that you have pushed us in that direction, and our manager has authorized the staff to go ahead with that. We were so excited, we celebrated our first entry. So we're very excited, and those who might be listening on Waycross, if you are logged on to Facebook, you can just search for the Village of Greenhills, all one word, and you'll find us right there. As a matter of fact, we just put a new entry on this morning. That is absolutely the best way to keep up to speed with things that are coming. The road may be closed, there may be some kind of an emergency, a crime alert, a weather alert, a power outage. We'll make sure that we get all of that up to date on our Facebook page, and we're really excited to have that as another tool in our belt. Speaking of technology, we have released our 2021 annual report. It is online at our website page and also on our Facebook page. Either place you can find that, but that will detail all of the fun that we had in 2021. It started out a little badly for us, but at least in the police department it ended very well. We were able to hire some great new officers. An example was what you saw here tonight. So we're very pleased to have that staff on board. Talking about hiring, we on March 14th got to spend a little time with our friends next door at the fire department, and Julie Sheets, who's a lieutenant on the fire department and a member of the Forest Park Police Department as well, shared a photo with me of a firefighter's son, firefighter Kimberly Bain. Her son Rexley was over there, and they were trying to recruit him very hard to be a firefighter when he grows up, and we tried just as hard to recruit him to be a police officer. We'll see in probably about 15, 18 years how that ends up. We do have some plans for upcoming technology changes. The first one we're able to make almost without any kind of charge, but we've been working on 2 changes that will increase the efficiency of our officers and eliminate a lot of duplication. For years, we have been filling out multiple part property reports that we attach to property that we find, either property or evidence. And we also mark when it moves here and moves there and maintain a good chain of custody for that. Well, with our new software, Appeal 9, we have found that we are able to, the officers also have to enter it into the computer system, and we have found that we are now enabled to print out a label very quickly on a label printer, and then we just attach that label, so the officers no longer have to fill out the same information twice. So we're pretty excited about eliminating any kind of redundancies like that. The second thing that's in the starting stages, Hamilton County judges have been somewhat reluctant, but have finally given their blessing to moving forward with what is called E-Citations. And that amounts to, we put the same information into the computer in the cruiser, then have to fill out a paper citation. Some police officers probably should have been doctors because we have a hard time reading what they've got down there. Also, it's a 5-part form. By the time you get to part 4 or part 5, it's pretty hard to read as well. So Sergeant Patton and Lieutenant Ward are on a part of a countywide committee that is moving towards the adoption of the E-Citations. We'll be on the lookout for any kind of grant for equipment, or we will use our computer fund to move forward with that. Also, speaking of technology and Waycross Communications, we have a new Talking with Greenhills that features 2 of our newer officers, Officer Mayberry and Officer Young. You might get a chuckle if you look that up, and we have a link to that on our website and on Facebook. Our officers have continued with some diversified training. Officer Moore just returned from Traffic Crash Investigations Level 1 from the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy at Great Oaks, and that was at no charge. Officers Young and Mayberry just completed implicit bias training at OPATA, which is the Ohio Police Officers Training Academy, on March 2nd. All of our officers are completing online training to enhance their mental health responses, and we'll have that complete by the end of the month. We want to send out a thank you to our friends at Messiah Lutheran. They brought, if you can imagine, laundry baskets. They brought 4 laundry baskets full of snacks. Some of them were even nutritional snacks. Some weren't, but we had those, and it was just a thank you for what our officers do. And once again, it reinforces to us how blessed we are to work in a community like Greenhills, where we have such caring folks that help us out. Speaking of helping folks out, in 2019, the Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police began working with high school student representatives on various concerns that impact youth. It's a lot tougher, in my opinion, to be a teen than it was when probably any of us were. They were creative in their approach to a variety of issues, one being bullying in the schools, and also teen suicides on the rise, and drug and alcohol still remaining a problem. The teen reps came up with a bracelet with the word "breathe" on it, and we have requested and received a quantity of those that our officers can pass out. We oftentimes find ourselves as first responder mental health counselors, so that's just another tool that we can use if we need it, and if someone wants one, they can come see us or come see any officers, no questions asked. I want to talk to particularly anybody that might be listening from our public about some traffic safety and speed concerns that we have. We did receive a traffic tip from a very eloquent resident of our community that wrote into us and talked about Leah, the crossing guard on Farragut, how wonderful she is, and she keeps traffic moving smoothly even when confronted with disgruntled drivers. She makes it safe to cross Farragut as well as across the school driveway. She noted that her granddaughter and her cross Hadley at the diagonal walk between Hamlin and Farragut, and only a small percentage of the cars stop. Some of the primary students are barely as tall as the hood of an SUV. So when it's safe, we put our hands up in the air, making sure we're more visible. She said, "I'm not proposing any changes, just reminders." Also, a few cars are parking across the sidewalk. During last week's snow and ice, we were practically in the street hurrying to get around a car parked in this fashion. It won't be long before there will be more bike riders too, so hurry up, spring. So we responded that we'll be on the lookout for violators, and we urge our residents, don't be one. Secondly, on speed, I think this is even a more scary note. Since the start of 2022, we've seen a serious increase in higher speeds, and our traffic stops have correspondingly increased. All of our subdivision streets, as you well know, are 25 miles an hour. We've issued 13 citations for excessive speed, with motorists traveling from 40 all the way up to 56 miles an hour on our side streets. On Winton Road, our only 35-mile-an-hour roadway, 39 citations have been issued for motorists going between 50 and 59 miles per hour, and it gets worse. We've issued 51, count them, 51 citations for motorists going between 60 and 90 on Winton Road. Don't think we're going to go away. We're going to be continuing on this. We're moving our traffic sign around as an additional tool. In addition, if that doesn't scare you enough, we've arrested 5 motorists for operating a motor vehicle under the influence within our jurisdiction. Right now, our speed sign is over on Ingram Road. We have a couple other locations where it's been requested and will be deployed, but tell your loved ones to be careful out there on the roadways and stay safe.
Thank you, Chief.
And, well, just, if I may, just one more note, Mr. Mayor. We're really excited about our upcoming schedule for the spring and fall. We've got one, I'm going to end with that, what's coming up first, our Coffee with the Cop, but on into May, on May 21st, right here, we're going to be doing an open house. We've talked to the fire department about joining us on that. The manager and I will be doing various park talks throughout the summer months. On July 16th, we've got a brand new activity, Game Time with GPD, and we're going to do that in the picnic shelter in Malloy's lot. We're going to start with a pizza lunch at noon, and we will be interacting with children from ages 5 to mid-teens. We're going to have officers out there playing board games, card games, basketball, cornhole, other fun things. So we're hoping that might be a good way for us to interact with some of our kids and teens in the community. Right here on July 19th, on a Tuesday night, we'll be doing Know Your Rights, which is a class that Corporal Mathis, we will explain the Castle Doctrine, all the new changes coming with concealed carry, and what to expect if you're stopped by an officer. And this was actually at the request of some of our citizens. And we have a Citizens Police Academy alumni, Karen Cartier, who is organizing a lot of this and helping us with staffing these events. On August the 2nd, I know that's a long time out, but we'll be doing Cooking with the Cops on National Night Out. Mr. Lee, we hope your calendar's clear. We'd love to see you. We will have our celebrity chefs, of which Jack is certainly one. On Saturday, August 20th, and on Saturday, October 15th, we'll have 2 chances for a defensive tactics course. Our state certified instructor, Officer Holbrook, will be teaching those. We'll be once again in the fall starting our teen academy. We'll be at Harvest Fest with various activities and crime prevention materials. We'll be at Light Up. Thanks, Councilmember Metz, for starting the tradition, but we'll be there with cookies again.
Deal.
And we also have an active shooter program that is available to any organizations and churches upon request. But our very next activity, our very first activity of the year, will be our Coffee with a Cop. That will be at Foster's at the Troubadour on Saturday, April the 23rd from 10 until noon. We'll have free coffee, free pastries, of course donuts. And if anyone wants to buy a full breakfast, those will be available as well. But we'll have information on all the other programs that I described available and sign-up sheets available. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
I have a
Questions?
question for the chief. What are the possibilities, feasibility of whether you think it's worth it or not to have some of the solar stop signs? They're at the airport, they're on every other community close around us. I'm just wondering if you think that they would make the stop sign more visible, therefore the people would stop because of the lights or not. Question.
I think it's something that probably the manager would have a traffic engineering consultant take a look at and see what the results have been in other communities. We're for anything that helps people abide by these signs. As you know, we crafted the signs that said that complete stops were free, but rolling stops were 177.
I don't think they're reading that. They stopped at one time to read it, but now it's not longer a novelty of sorts.
My observation is that the folks that don't stop at stop signs often have their noses in their phones, and they probably won't notice any sign.
That's true.
Okay.
May I ask a question of the chief? Just to let you know that I read your monthly report thoroughly, so on page 7, the offenses and incidents by weekday. Why in the world, I understand that's why Saturday would be the most active day, but why Wednesday, and then it drops down to the absolute lowest day on Friday? Do you have?
Mr. Lee, that's a mystery to me.
Thursday, I'm sorry, Thursday.
Yeah, and it does change from time to time. We don't really understand it, but Thursday is the day when we have the most officers available, the way our schedule overlaps. So it seems like that has always been a busy day for us, and we stay busy on Thursday. As you can see, traditionally on the weekend, it gets a little bit higher and goes down, but why those dips happen, it's strange to see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
The hours is usually predictable. And
Yeah.
we have really worked to correspond our staffing levels with those hours, so we have those folks available.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right, reports of committees, Recreation, Cable Television, Natasha Metz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I skipped me.
You go
I do have something to report. Not much, but something. I have January's Mayor's Court numbers. State of Ohio received $2,136.50 from the village from fines. Hamilton County, $73.50, and the Village of Greenhills, $7,926.30. And for the month of February, State of Ohio, $1,751.31, Hamilton County, $61.50, and the Village of Greenhills, $5,385.69. And that's it. Now,
Now me?
committee reports.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We chatted at the retreat about some potential upcoming events. So we're going to have another meeting soon to put some things down in writing. But the calendar of events I've noticed on the website is not updated. It's not put up there. Are we
Great.
going to get that?
Still working on it,
Okay.
but we'll have something up soon. And just note that they should check back. Things will change.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. And then, as far as Waycross, well, one more thing for recreation is Harvest Fest. We have booked Bang and Grill to come back again this year. They were so excited. They sold out last year at the half-day Harvest Fest that they called me and said, please put us on the books again. So they will be back with all of their great, wonderful menu. So mark your calendars, come down and get some food from them and any of the other people that we've got coming. So, and then for Waycross, I don't know if there are any high school or junior high students listening, but if not, and you know a high school or junior high student, there are still spots open in their summer film festival, and I've told that it will sell out fast. There's limited time, so get them signed up if they have some creativity, want an outlet for it. Great spot. There's also a part-time opening for a production technician. It's that same position that I mentioned last time. If you like people, you like cameras, this is a position for you. And that's all I have. Thank you.
And they get to come and attend all the council meetings that are televised.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Finance and Audit, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, at your places tonight, I put the recap that the finance director produced for the month of February. The income tax and real estate tax receipts are broken out in pretty much what were expected for the month. The general fund revenues total for February was $300,574.75. The year-to-date total $445,448.73. And the general fund budget is currently at $2,081,058.09. Expenses are right on target as far as a percentage of appropriations, so we're right where we need to be. There are no transfers through the month of February, but we will be taking care of that tonight with a resolution. So unless you have any questions, that's the end of my report.
Actually, Jack, if I could ask a
Sure.
quick question. With all the raising of prices that's going on, the pool and everything, are we trying to monitor that and see how that affects?
We'll definitely be doing that, but I mean, when we were looking at the budget at the end of the year, we were anticipating increases, and those have been factored in. So, Deb, I don't know if you want to address that.
Certainly, I can. I ran some reports today to see how we were doing as we are approaching the end of the first quarter. And the general fund, we have expended 15% of our budget allocation. So that's a good overall number. And our village-wide budget for expenditures, we're at 14.7. So right now, we're on target. We are watching very carefully, as Yvonne mentioned, we are looking at all the vendors that are going to impose surcharges on us increases and so forth, so we're going to review things, just constantly this year. We'll have to and make adjustments if need be. In the interim, we're going to hold tight to our expenditures and watch what we have budgeted, and other than any emergency expenditures that might come up, we're going to stick to the plan and just take it a little at a time.
And I know you guys do a good job of it. It's just that, it seems like it's across the board, and I just didn't know if we've anticipated to that level.
It is.
so.
We did as well as we could do. Of course, as you recall, the budget is worked on in October and November. A lot of things have happened since then.
Every day there's another.
Right.
So we're going to have to readjust our gears a little bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on, Service and Streets, Jennifer Osmonoglu.
I wanted to let everyone know that the next phase of the sidewalk cutting will start on Monday. So that will be for the half-inch sidewalk. They're going to shave that down.
Wait, in the eyes.
I,
Those were the eyes.
the I section.
Alona in Ireland. There you go.
All right. So, I've noticed a big difference, especially when I walk around. It really does make a difference. I mean, it's not the big, huge pieces, but it's made a big difference for walking and trip hazards. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. That's all I have.
Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules, Maria Walther.
We are anticipating a meeting for the Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules on May the 24th at 6 p.m.
All right, Community Development, Jeff Halter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A little bit later, I have 2 ordinances that I'll be bringing up. Other than that, there's no further report.
Okay. Safety, Melanie Hermes.
We have tentatively scheduled the Safety Committee meeting on May 24th at 5:30 p.m., right before Laws and Rules.
Okay.
And I do have a question for Melanie.
Okay.
I was just curious, watching, since we live right by the school intersection, does it make sense for us to have a crosswalk signage like we do behind the shopping center, right, as they can cross to that path on the way towards
On
the
Hadley?
playground? On Farragut.
Where
Like if you were coming out of the school,
Okay.
walking on the sidewalk, and you're facing the playground, Farragut runs left and right.
Okay.
We have lines there, I believe, but it just seems like maybe signage, a crosswalk signage might make sense. Because those cars still park along there, and it is difficult to the chief's letter.
The school going to do something new?
I thought they were. Yeah, let me check on that.
Okay. Because I know we have it behind the shopping center, which is good, and people crossing to the pool, but it just seems like I've seen quite a few that try to cross there, and it seems like we should maybe call more attention to it.
Thank you.
And I just mentioned to Yvonne that I thought the school was going to do something at that crosswalk in one of our earlier discussions.
Maybe it's the guard that they were.
That could be. Okay. Moving on, the opportunity for residents and non-residents who made comments. Okay. Now's the opportunity for residents and non-residents to make comments solely regarding legislation that's on the current agenda. Non-residents must obtain prior permission. This is time for citizens to comment on legislative items listed on the agenda for this session of council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and then state your comments. Comments will be limited to 4 minutes.
Good evening.
Hi.
I only have one question, and that is I was just wondering, why is the DeWitt being concerned as an emergency clause?
Sorry.
Okay. I'll sit down and you can answer.
Can you please state your name? We have a new clerk of council.
Thank you. Oh, somebody wants my name?
Yes, new clerk of council.
Bender, B-E-N-D-E-R.
Okay. Would you mind giving me your address?
Address is 29 Handle Lane.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll sit down and you can just answer it.
That, or you'll discuss it when you talk about the ordinance, potentially.
I think it'd be Jeff.
Yeah, just respond now.
Somebody comment?
You want me to just do it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the issue is that there are conflicting records down at the county that show whether it is right-of-way or whether it's not right-of-way. In our discussions with the county, they indicated that the best way to clear up all the inconsistencies is to do a vacation ordinance. Because this property is related to the development around there, the goal is just to get the records cleared up down at the county at the earliest possible way we can. And to do that as an emergency is the fastest way to do that.
So as an emergency, it'll take you 1 month instead of 3 months or something like that?
No, I mean, if it is adopted tonight as an emergency, it goes into effect immediately. And as soon as we can have the paperwork, the signatures on the appropriate paperwork, and we get it filed with the county, it could take more a matter of days than waiting for multiple yeah.
I think I turned the volume off on the timer. My apologies. It's so stark.
Glasses. Monique Mason-Halter, 154 Junefield. I'm here tonight to ask council members again to consult with an experienced telecom lawyer to review our local zoning ordinance and provide advice as to how best to use the maximum power available to us to regulate the placement of wireless facilities and prevent the irresponsible placement of wireless facilities and the adverse impacts they could have on our community. At last month's council meeting, I read excerpts from a video produced in 2021 by experienced telecom lawyer Andrew Campanelli about why it is important to have an experienced telecom lawyer review local zoning ordinances and provide advice to local communities like ours. The next day, I sent an email to Yvonne with links and written transcripts for 3 videos produced by Mr. Campanelli on this topic, and I received a confirmation from Yvonne that it was forwarded to you. I heard nothing back from any council members, so hopefully you have all thoroughly reviewed the information and are taking it all into thoughtful consideration, as I am not aware of any of you being experienced telecom lawyers. And that's okay, because you all could choose to hire an experienced telecom lawyer to help with this. Tonight, I'm going to read excerpts from video 3 of the Campanelli videos I sent you because I am asking you again to hire an experienced telecom lawyer, not necessarily him, to review our local zoning ordinance and provide advice regarding the placement of wireless facilities in the village. Since you'll cut me off at 4 minutes, I'm not going to be able to cover all 5 procedural requirements. Quote, when Congress enacted the Telecommunications Act of 1996, its very first significant provision expressly reserved to local governments the powers to control the placement of wireless facilities, including cell towers, small cells, and DOS systems. Subparagraph A of the provision, which reserves the general authority to local governments, is followed by 5 essentially procedural requirements contained in paragraph B. The first procedural requirement says that local governments cannot unreasonably discriminate between providers of equivalent services. In general terms, it means a town can't come in and say, okay, we're going to let AT&T come in and provide wireless service and build cell towers, but we're not going to let Verizon come in. That would be unreasonable discrimination. But the code only prohibits unreasonable discrimination. That does not mean if you let AT&T go build a tower in a commercial zone that you automatically have to let Verizon build one. You must actually discriminate under the code. You must analyze each case based upon zone merits, just like any other type of zoning application. So you can grant one tower application for one carrier and deny another because the circumstances of its application are different. It may inflict a significantly greater adverse aesthetic impact, have a more dramatic adverse impact on property values. Even the increased density of wireless facilities can justify a denial of a tower. Rule 3, written decision, substantial evidence.
It means your written decision on any application for a wireless facility must be issued in separate writing, must be based upon substantial evidence. The written decision must be issued within the period of the shot clock. As far as substantial evidence, in the context of any zoning application, it is you, the local zoning boards, who get to decide what evidence you will require an applicant to produce and what weight is to be given to any evidence that's been submitted. Here's the test. Your decision must be based upon such evidence that might support a reasonable mind arriving at the decision you made. That's the standard, and it's very deferential. If you make fact-finding determinations, federal judges are loath to overturn them. They don't want to be zoning boards of appeals. The biggest problem here is that local zoning codes do not provide guidance, so that local boards don't know what decisions they have to make. For example, let's say somebody wants to build a tower and it's 20 feet from Mary Smith's house, and you're going to deny the application because it's going to destroy the value of her property. But the applicant has alleged that they have significant gap in personal wireless services and that their proposed cell tower is the least intrusive means of remedying that service. The board makes a decision and denies it based upon the reduction of value of the person's house, but they make no factual determinations as to whether or not the applicant proved they have a significant gap in service or least intrusive means.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
We had received a communication from an individual who had knee surgery and he couldn't walk. I had passed that to Mr. Forbes to see if he could read it because they asked that it be read into the record. That's acceptable to everyone.
What are you guys saying? I can't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have a resident who had knee surgery.
Yeah.
And asked if his communication could be read into the record tonight. So I asked Mr. Forbes if he could do that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
As long as it abides by the clock.
I can read it faster than 4 minutes. Yeah, the communication says, the Small Cell Facilities Ordinance 2022-2-CD covers the location requirements within the public right-of-way with the setback minimum of 100 feet from any property line of residential use, but there is nothing itemized in the ordinance that covers spacing for small cell antenna installation by a vendor on private property. It seems that if a permit is required for residential use, it should be of the same type defined as special use permit, which includes annual certification that the NEIR, which is non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation levels at the proposed site, are within the threshold levels adopted by the FCC. Personal wireless services should have the same meaning as defined as used in the 1996 Telecommunications Act. There should be a fair and consistent application process for special use permits for small cell antenna installation on residential property that protects the health, safety, environmental concerns of the surrounding neighborhood as covered by the general population exposure limits as set forth under one of the procedural requirements of the Telecom 1996 Act. Thanks for your consideration. And that is from Vince Wellage.
Wellage. Yep. All right, we have no unfinished business, new business. First ordinance is number 2022-01-CD with the emergency clause vacating DeWitt Court and declaring an emergency.
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to dispense of the second reading of ordinance number 2022-01-C and D with the emergency clause.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Clerk, call the roll. You want to poll the council members?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Mr. Lee,
Aye.
Hermes,
Aye.
Council Metz.
Aye.
Okay. Maria Walker. Aye. Osmanoglu.
Aye.
Councilperson. And Halter.
Aye.
motion passes.
All right, I have ordinance number 2022-01 CD, vacating DeWitt Court and declaring an emergency. Whereas DeWitt Court is not used as a public street, and whereas pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 723.05, the Greenhills Village Council is of the opinion that there is good cause and no detriment to the general interest to vacate DeWitt Court. And whereas the Village of Greenhills owns all the property abutting DeWitt Court, and therefore there are no other property owners to whom the village must offer a portion of the vacated property, and the village hereby consents to such vacation. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, members elected thereunto concurring, I'll get it, Section 1, that DeWitt Court at 0.2798 acre tract identified by Hamilton County Auditor Parcel Number 597-0060-0084, as more specifically described in Exhibit A, and is for the particular shown in the vacation plot attached hereto in Exhibit B, both incorporated herein, is hereby vacated. Section 2, that the village clerk of the council is hereby authorized and directed to cause a certified copy of the ordinance and proof of publication thereof to be properly filed in the office of the Hamilton County Recorder. Section 3, that this ordinance is hereby declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and general welfare, and shall be effective immediately upon its adoption. The reason for said declaration of emergency is the need to vacate the right-of-way at the earliest possible date in order to clarify conflicting county records. I make a motion that we adopt this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Clerk, call the roll.
Okay, Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Hermes,
Aye.
Councilmember Metz,
Aye.
Councilmember Walther,
Aye.
Councilmember Ospinoglu,
Aye.
Councilmember Coulter,
Aye.
Okay. Ordinance number 2022-01 CD passes.
Where's the emergency clause on the
Yep.
Was that everything? Did we have to do anything separate for the emergency clause?
Part of the
Or was
ordinance.
that
It was
part
part
of
of
the
it. It was part of
Oh,
No,
okay,
it.
I'm sorry.
right.
I didn't hear
No,
that.
it's, right. It
Okay.
was included in the title. It's been
It's all right.
adopted as an emergency.
Okay. Next one is ordinance number 2022-02-CD, first reading, adopting Chapter 937 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances regarding small cell tower facilities. Mr. Halter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have ordinance number 2022-02 CD, adopting Chapter 937 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances regarding small cell facilities. Whereas Council for the Village of Greenhills has determined it is in the best interest of the village to implement certain regulations related to small cell facilities and in public right-of-way, and whereas it is the desire of council to adopt such regulations. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, members elected thereunto concurring, Section 1, that Chapter 937 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances is hereby adopted as a set forth in Exhibit A and Exhibit B attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that all other provisions of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances shall remain in full force and effect. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period provided by law.
Okay, it's the first reading. All right, the next one's ordinance number 2022-03-F, first reading, ratifying the appointment of Teresa Lally to the position of clerk of council and establishing compensation. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reading ordinance 2022-03F by title only. Ratifying the appointment of Teresa Lally to the position of clerk of council and establishing compensation. First reading.
I do have a question. This is just bookkeeping. Does this mean for the first ordinance that we did, Municipal manager is still the acting clerk, and she's the one that must do all the signatures for it.
Oh, they did a motion.
Right, no, right. At the last meeting, council approved a motion
Okay.
for the hire. This is just the sort of follow-up paperwork that
I
will
just
need to be
wanted
done. Yep.
to make sure when we file everything that we're filing it.
Yep, understood. Understood.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Resolution number 2022-05-F, making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2022-05-F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Whereas the 2022 annual appropriations that were adopted on December 14, 2021 are to be amended. And whereas the appropriations must not exceed the total available resources of the village per Ohio Revised Code Section 5705.36A5. Therefore, an amended certificate of estimated resources has been requested from the County Budget Commission. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village Greenhills, Ohio, Section 1, since certain actions are needed in the monies appropriated so to permit the Village of Greenhills to meet its fiscal obligations for the year 2022, the following items of expenditure are to be supplemented. The appropriations for expenditure for the year 2022. None. Section 2. The following transfers of fund be made from previously appropriated monies from General Fund 1,000 to Police Fund 2901, the amount $300,000. General Fund 1,000 to the swimming pool, account number 2909, $138,000. General Fund 1,000, non-voted debt service, account number 3901, $138,643. Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Okay, Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Hermes,
Aye.
Councilmember Metz,
Aye.
Councilmember Walter,
Aye.
Councilmember Osman-Noglu,
Aye.
Councilmember Halter.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2022-05-F passes. All right, next resolution is 2022-06-F, accepting the material terms of the Johnson & Johnson National Opioid Settlement and authorizing the municipal manager to execute a related participation agreement. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2022-06F, a resolution to accept the material terms of the Johnson & Johnson National Opioid Settlement and authorizing the municipal manager to execute a related participation agreement. A resolution authorizing the municipal manager to execute the participation agreement for the Johnson & Johnson National Opioid Settlement, whereas the Village of Greenhills, herein municipality, is a municipal corporation formed and organized pursuant to the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio, and whereas the people of the state of Ohio and its communities have been harmed by misfeasance, nonfeasance, and malfeasance committed by certain entities within the opioid pharmaceutical supply chain, and whereas the state of Ohio, through its Attorney General and certain local governments, through their elected representatives and council, are separately engaged in litigation seeking to hold opioid pharmaceutical supply chain participants accountable for the damage caused by their misfeasance, nonfeasance, and malfeasance, and Whereas the state of Ohio, through its governor and attorney general and its local governments, share a common desire to abate and alleviate the impacts of that misfeasance, nonfeasance, and malfeasance throughout the state of Ohio. Whereas a settlement proposal is being presented to the state of Ohio and local governments by certain distributors to resolve governmental entity claims in the state of Ohio, and whereas Greenhills Village Council wishes to agree to the material terms of the proposed Johnson & Johnson National Opioid Settlement. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Village Greenhills, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring. Section 1, that the municipal manager of the Village of Greenhills is authorized to accept the proposed settlement on behalf of the Village of Greenhills pursuant to the terms of the participation agreement. Section 2, that it is found and determined that all formal actions of the council relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public and in compliance with all legal requirements. Section 3, that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption. Mr. Mayor, I move for the acceptance of this resolution.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Okay, Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Hines,
Aye.
Councilmember Metz,
Aye.
Councilmember Walther,
Aye.
Councilmember Osman-Noglu,
Aye.
and Councilmember Coulter.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 2022-06-F passes. Next, we have a motion reappointing Rob Howell and Joe Orndorff to the Community Development Programming Board, and CPB Holdings for another term beginning April 1, 2022 and ending March 31, 2025.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we reappoint Rob Howell and Joe Orndorff to the Community Programming Board and CPB Holdings for another term beginning April 1st, 2022 and ending March 31st, 2025.
Okay, and do we need to poll people or just?
I
voice?
second, if we needed a second.
Yeah.
You can do it all in favor.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, council members have any comments they'd like to make before we move on? Calendar?
The leaf pickup starting April 4th.
Fourth. Yeah. No.
Pick up. Okay, all right. Now, this is an opportunity for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. Speakers may not yield any or all of their time to other speakers.
Want my name again?
Again.
Bishop Bender. Thank you, Bishop. Hello, everyone, again. So one of the things I wanted to bring up was, I've noticed driving through Greenhills that there seems to be a lot more vans and trailers on streets, and people are parking really close to stop signs, and it's real difficult to get around them without running into someone who's coming down the street. So one of the ideas that I thought of that might be quite helpful in all of Greenhills would be to mark the stop sign and the distance that a car has to stay from parking that close to a stop sign, and the same thing with the fire hydrant. So on my street, there are foreigners that live there, and they probably don't understand everything that we do in the United States, and so they park in front of the fire hydrant. I also have people with huge vans parking right in front of the stop sign, and you can't see it. One, either it's run, or you run into somebody trying to turn onto the street. So I think a good idea would be to use your yellow strips on both sides to demarcate what the distance needs to be from parking from those distances rather than having to go up to a house and address the fact they're parking, blah, blah, blah. The other thing I wanted to bring up was, we have a great maintenance group. I'm not discounting anything, but I find that they don't do as good as they could with pickup. So when they're picking up branches and shrubs and things people are leaving in their yard, they're leaving a mess. And I think they have a rate, that they could rate the material up and get it into their truck to get it cleared out. And I see it regularly. The same thing with the drain pipes. Now the drain covers are being uncovered with the leaves, but rather than take the leaves, they just put it in the yard. And to me, I don't see where that really does anything aesthetically for our streets. They do an incredible job on the commons, but yet when it comes to our streets, there's still a bit of compromise there. I even called today about it, and never saw any kind of resolution. As far as the, oh, is this not a 4-minute deal?
I guess not.
Okay, well, I'll be very quick. As far as the swimming pool, I really hate to see, because of costs going up, us pulling more things away from our swimming pool. It's nice that it's open till 8 o'clock. We have young children being our lifeguards. I doubt they're going to the YMCA. I'm sure they have to be of a certain age. To me, I would rather see us add more events or more opportunities to make money than to shut the swimming pool down. And I really think and hope that the Recreation Committee and some of the other committees can really come up and brainstorm with things we can do, from classes to parties to events at the swimming pool, rather than to pull everything in, just like we did with our journal. We cut our journal down to 4 pages because we couldn't get people enough advertising. So now there's really nothing in the journal unless you like that number crossword, whatever it is, or you hear about, the Alzheimer's Center. So, and fourth but not last, is I would like to know if we could do a GoFundMe to raise money for more stop signs or speed signs that are put up through Greenhills. Because I know myself personally that as soon as I see that baby light up, I'm going to slow down. And I think it's a wonderful idea to have that and have more than one. So is there a way we could possibly do a GoFundMe to be able to buy more of those? Now, I've never done a GoFundMe, but I'm sure somebody up there has. So those are the only things that I really have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could comment on I was aware that you called today about pickup of like brush and I forget what all was piled there. There were also leaves. A service worker did go back and take a look at it, and apparently they did pick up what they were there to pick up, like the chipping and the brush. But the leaves will be collected when they do the leaf collection.
Yeah, so the leaves I knew they were going to pick up. I
Right.
don't know if they were going to put them out there, but they'll end up in my yard when we get a real wind.
We'll collect them first week in April.
I'm going to put them in my compost.
Hi, my name is Ty. Hi, my name is Christina Shank. I'm a homeschooling mom. I typically spend at least 2 to 3 days a week at that OLR building. And for those of you that don't know, there's been a homeschooling community there that's been there 25 to almost 30 years, and we are now homeschooling graduates who are coming back with their children. So we are a very active community, and if you see our children running around playing, in that, behind a lot of OLR, that's us. I'm here today to support Monique and to support sort of a little bit more looking into the whole 5G thing. I live in Deer Park. I'm fighting a similar situation with our school. My son, who has special needs, he attends the high school, which is blocked in by 2 towers that went up under the suggestion that it was going to be 4G. But the problem is that they are reflecting 5G from a tower down the street. So already as it is, and we're beginning to test inside the school, we are looking at something that's 3 orders of magnitude over the allowed safety limits. And that's at the corner of the school. That's not in the school or between the towers. So it's a matter of concern. I'm sure Monique has told you that the lowest level of health risk for that is, just insomnia, up through nosebleeds, constant migraines. Prolonged exposure will give you cancer. So it is definitely something that more of us are aware, and this is not a problem unique to Greenhills. This is going on in Marymount, this is going on in Amberley, and all the towns are quietly trying to make some changes. And if you are able to make them, you will be leading a good thing, because it will make your property values go up, because there will be a little belt of safety in Cincinnati. There is no place right now that we don't have 5G that is going to bite you in the neck. Right now, we have a little bit of a few towns, the smaller towns that can make the difference, that can make things happen, are the ones that are going to be leading this. And, that's you guys. And my husband is a lawyer. Unfortunately, he is not a media lawyer, but he's going to be looking at Deer Park's code to make sure that we can fix that stuff. Because, if you trust the federal government and if you trust large companies, I have a bridge I want to sell you. They absolutely put things in there thinking further ahead than we are. So it's something that we need to get in there and to make sure that we are not getting sold things that are not good for our communities. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Monique Mason-Halter, 154 Junefield. Wanted to say, first of all, the sidewalks, they look great. Thank you for doing that. Can't wait till they get around to my neighborhood more. Second, the timer for the speakers is working out really well for public comments. I do have one suggestion, though. Hamilton County Commissioners also offer a timer. And what they do is, after the timer beeps, they actually allow the speakers a little bit extra time to finish their statements. I think that would be nice if you all did that too, because it's kind of abrupt. So, I appreciate your consideration on that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And with that, nothing else, meeting's adjourned.